Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar hosted by Ciphr. It's a showcase of our new real-time payroll software. We're super excited to be sharing this with you for the first time today. I'm Catherine, I'm Head of Content here at Ciphr. I'm joined by Julie, Managing Director of Payroll. Hi Julie, welcome, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very excited for today.
Fantastic. I'm also joined by Amanda, our Sales Manager. Hi Amanda, how are you?
Hi there, good morning. Yeah, I'm great, thank you. Super excited as well.
Brilliant. And also by, last but not least, by Cherie, our Head of Payroll Operations. Cherie, how are you doing today?
Oh, fantastic. Really excited.
Brilliant. Welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us today. Do say hi and send in your thoughts in the chat and send your questions for our experts using the Q&A panel. This session is being recorded and the recording will be emailed to you afterwards, so you can share this with a colleague or rewatch any parts that you want to revisit. Here's a quick look at our agenda for today. We're going to take a look at a brief history of payroll and then assess the need for change in the payroll industry. Amanda's going to take us through a demo of our new payroll software in action, and we'll also give you a look forward to the future for our Ciphr payroll product. And then, as I mentioned, there's time for your questions at the end, so do send them in at any time. In case you're new to Ciphr, here's a quick overview of all of our products and software and services. We offer a range of people management solutions from HR and employee record keeping right through to payroll software, which we're showing you today, as well as payroll bureau, onboarding, LMS, e-learning, benefits, and DEIB consultancy. Today, we're just looking at payroll software, but if you're interested in any of the other elements of our offering, please check out our website at ciphr.com or drop us a line at info@ciphr.com, and we'll be happy to take you through them. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Julie. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, Catherine. Morning, everybody. We thought it might just be a bit of fun if we gave you a little bit of a history of payroll. So in ancient times, workers used to get paid with food, goods, clothing. They did have coins, but not necessarily currency. It was more to do with gold. Then in medieval times, people were paid with land, housing, protection. But it was around this time when wages were first invented. Then in the Industrial Revolution, that required a structured payroll system. So employers back then began to record hours that people were working and wages, how much money they owed people. But then when we get into the 20th century, this is where we start to see the introduction of income tax, social security. And at that point, and that image on the left-hand side is actually a calculator from back in the day, but people had to start using calculators, typewriters to help them get from gross pay to net pay. By the mid-20th century, along came computers, and that was to revolutionise the payroll industry at that point. And we also saw the introduction of BACS. But where we are today, well, payroll is extremely complex. There's just an enormous amount of legislation that we have to adhere to. And so, thankfully, to the advancement of software, we now have super smart payroll solutions that are cloud-based, API-led, so they can talk to HR systems, finance, workforce management. And we've even got AI that helps us to detect errors before we actually process payroll. We did a survey when we started to do our research and design for the new payroll system, and we surveyed payroll professionals, not just customers. We went out to the entire market, and lots of people really got behind us and got involved with sharing that information. But when we carried the survey out, the first thing that we were told were these are the challenges that we have with our current payroll software. So a big challenge is around user experience. So payroll systems shouldn't be difficult to use. Lots of people talk to us about how they're doing a lot of manual calculations outside of the payroll system because their current software doesn't do these calculations for them. And that's a big time hoover. Getting data out of the system, so reporting analytics, that's a big challenge. And alarmingly, for some of the people who were surveyed, payroll compliance was a challenge with their current payroll software. That should never happen. A big push in the market at the moment is around cost saving, and that's predominantly driven by the national insurance increase on employers. And people want to see automation, and they want to see tasks that can be workflow just to be taken out of their hands, and better integration into other products. So your HR, your finance, your workforce management, whatever system you need your payroll software to talk to. So this is what the market was telling us. And then we also asked, talk to us about your efficiencies. So what challenges are you having there? So the biggest, most called out challenge was, we've got a really old payroll system and it's kind of really slow. Doesn't do all the calculations. So we're doing a lot of calculations outside of the payroll system. We're unable to automate many things, and the integration options are pretty poor. And again, reporting came up. So we wanted to delve deeper into the user experience as well. So we asked, tell us more about what's happening. And it was interesting, the amount of times old and clunky got called out from the participants. So, over time with payroll, well, with any system, but over time, as they become, or they're heading towards becoming legacy, they're filled full of kind of technical debt, and which means you build on something that's already been built. And when that happens, it makes it really difficult to navigate. So a lot of the things that got called out were around lack of intuitiveness. It's really difficult to train new starters in the payroll team on the software. We have to produce our own training guides, and payroll software taking too long to run processes. Well, with modern technology, you don't have to run anything anymore. Those days are gone. Inflexible reporting, again, was a real trend. And the time people have to spend downloading data to upload it into the payroll system. And again, with modern technology, no need to do these things anymore. So the final questions that we asked were, what things can't you automate at the moment? And what are your must-haves in a payroll system? And I was quite surprised at some of the things coming back, that we've still got payroll software out there in use that doesn't do things like real-time calculations, doesn't do proration or back pay calcs, doesn't do average holiday pay calcs, sickness, holidays, and cost centre movement seemed to be a challenge as well for quite a few of the respondents. The other must-haves included, again, can we have an intuitive user experience, please? Cloud-based, so that I can work at any time from anywhere. APIs, because I'm sick of doing downloads and uploads into the system, and that's problematic. Better reporting. Can I have a dashboard that shows me where all my payrolls are up to? And if things can be workflowed and automated, then please can you do that? So with that in mind, we took all this feedback, and Amanda, I'm going to hand over to you to show everybody what we've done with this feedback. Over to you, Amanda.
Thank you so much, Julie. I'd say I'm so excited to be able to present this. Thank you for the opportunity, Julie, to bring this to our lovely audience today. I am going to share my screen, and then I'll take you on a walk through. So let's hit the right buttons. Go to share everything. Hopefully I'll get this right for you. Julie, can you tell me if that is on the screen?
Yes, it is, Amanda.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, dear. So, yeah, so here we've got, so I've already logged into the system. Now, the first thing to say about any system is the non-functional requirements are often as important as the functional stuff. And Julie's already touched on a lot of these already, but we've got single sign-on, so again, that ease of authentication. If you're already authenticated, you just expect to be able to get into all of your applications with no further sort of, messing around with usernames and passwords. We know that it's you because you're already authenticated. The data security is very, very important. Ciphr do have the ISO 27001 and Cyber Essentials Plus security accreditation. So payroll is possibly the most sensitive of your company's data. It's your people and their pay. So data security is really, really important. And then the APIs, again, to take us into this century, we really should not be uploading CSV files anymore. Let these systems talk to each other. We are API led. It's an API first solution. So that means joining up your data with HR systems, time and attendance systems, workforce management, and finance systems, so there's a lot of data in payroll which the rest of your business needs for their own analysis. Obviously we're going to look at some great reporting today, but again, I think those non-functional things are really, really key for us to tell you about to start with. But I know you really want to see how a payroll is run on the system. So I'm going to take the next sort of 10, 15 minutes to take you on a walkthrough. My team knows I love talking about payroll. I would probably sit here for at least an hour, but let's summarize it for you today. But I hope what you're going to see is going to give you a really great taster of what's to come, and that you'll want to get in touch with us and spend a lot more time with the guys here at Ciphr for us to take you on a really detailed walkthrough. But this, as I say, I really hope I'm going to give you a great taste of what's possible today. So as I say, I've logged in, so we can see that dashboard, and so at a glance already I can see what payrolls I've got on my system and their status. As a payroll manager managing multiple companies, then I've got that lovely glance, and I can search for those companies if I've got more than 4. The system is unlimited in the number of companies we'll allow you to set up on here. So it's more about the number of payslips that you're processing. Your ability to set up test payrolls, different environments, so you can run things through and test your calculations. You can do that as much as you like. So again, it's that freedom as well as the great interface that we're seeing here. So let's have a look at this payroll here. So Ciphr payroll, this is my live payroll. So you can see now I've got a dashboard for my my current payroll. I can see exactly where I am in the current run. I know I'm up to date with HMRC. There would be warnings and alerts. It's going to go red if there's something that I need to do here. I can see that I have got a connection to HMRC Government Gateway, because I can see the tax code notices are coming down, and I can pop in here and match some if I'm missing like an NI number or an employee ID. Compliance is always important for payroll managers. That's always going to be top of the list, that we have to make sure that we are reporting and paying over the totals to the HMRC. So again, you can see I've got that as a really great dashboard. I can see exactly where I am, and I can record payments as they're made. Okay. So easy to navigate. If you're an experienced payroller, you're going to find your way around this really easily. So the next part of the presentation, I'm going to go through kind of 3 areas. So the first will be the company setup, so that if you do choose to work with us and you adopt this as your new payroll system, obviously we're going to go through an implementation process with you so that you can build your system, migrate data and go through that parallel running. So the first thing that we'll need to do is scope your payroll settings, and then we can go through the company setup with you, and that'll be as part of your training process as well, because we want you to be able to support your own payroll for any changes going forward. So we'll have a look at the company setup. We'll go into some employee records so we can have a look at the employee maintenance, and then let's run a payroll and have a look at some reports. So company setup. Lovely dashboard view again. So again, at that single glance, I can see exactly what my settings are for this payroll. So some of this you're never going to need to change, but it's good for you to see it there. So things like setting up your BACS interfaces. You can see we've got a whole load of file formats and layouts that have already been created, so that whatever yours is, you should be able to just pick that up and run with it. Let's have a look at the pay run settings themselves. So within a company, or the payroll that I've got here, it's a one PAYE scheme, but I can have multiple pay frequencies within a single PAYE scheme. So you can see I've got this set up as a monthly run. If I also had a weekly payroll, it's really easy to add that in as an additional pay schedule, and I can then consolidate my reporting for both. So for my my HMRC employer payment summary, the EPS, of course, we only need to send one of those for one PAYE scheme. And then further down here, you can see some additional settings already. So we've got our pro rata settings. So you can set those for working days and calendar days. We've got our default working days for the payroll, and also an occupational sick pay scheme. Okay, so we're bringing automation in right at the start here. Moving on to the pay elements. This is an unlimited list. You can have as many of these as you like. So there's going to be payment types and deduction types, and you can see the various settings. Let's pop into one of these so that you can see. So if I go into my hours settings, I'm going to be going into this again a little bit later on when we're in the pay run as well. So we'll loop back to the settings that we've got here. So you can set a code. You can set these to be cash values, units and rates, and we can even gross up. So say you wanted £100 net to be added to somebody's pay, it's going to gross up that value for you. So again, we're compliant with our calculations. We can set default values for each of these, and we can also predetermine the cost analysis that might be coming out on your reporting later. We've got the tax treatments and some advanced behaviours as well. National minimum wage being a really, really important one of those. Okay. Pension settings. Nest, we know Nest is one of the most widely used pension schemes across our customer base. We have an API connection directly to Nest, so that at the end of the pay cycle, the joiners and the contributions submissions are going to go directly from our system to the Nest portal. So we are looking to add more and more pension providers to that list as we go on. But again, to make things easy for you as a payroll manager, we've already pre-configured export files that are compliant, so you can just upload those straight to these pension providers' portals. Okay, so lots more good news to come here as we continue our development plan. There's a few other settings in here. Payslip settings, of course, we'd love you to be able to put your own logo on the payslips. Again, I'll come back to payslips when we're in the pay run as well. And also the pensions auto enrolment letters. So if you do need to send those communications, you can email those from the system using the pensions regulator templates that we're having a look at here. Okay. Great. So let's move on to the employee records. Very similar to the payroll company menu that we saw at the start there. So again, a really clear, easy dashboard so that I can see all of my employees. I can search for those and I can filter on certain criteria. Let's have a look at an employee record. On the employee's own dashboard, we can see those things that you're going to most want to know. So name, address, date of birth, date of joining, tax settings, their bank details, contact info. Again, it's all at your fingertips, all reportable as well, of course. We can see there, as we move across the tabs along the top here, we can see their pay details. We can see any predefined cost centres. And we can also see the current salary or their other pay history, and that's all going to keep building up here. For customers with HR solutions, particularly Ciphr HR, of course, this kind of data is going to be updating using the API integration. So again, we'll be giving you control over that integration, but it should be seamless. So for the absences, you can see that sickness and parental leave is absolutely standard. So you'll be able to create those periods of absence and have the system calculate the pay for you. Payslip history is all here. If I tap on one of those, I can see the full details of the gross and net. Pension membership. So the system, as you would expect, does have pensions auto-enrolment built in, so that when you have an eligible worker, they're going to drop into the pension scheme. Benefits in kind is a real buzz at the moment. So cars and benefits, we are ready for benefits in kind. We've got a whole load of customers already using this successfully, that they've already migrated to BIK early. Everyone's going to have to do this. It's going to be a mandatory requirement from April 26. There's still time for you to go from April 25 with your existing supplier. I know I've spoken to one or two people whose current supplier can't do this yet. So you're well ahead of the curve if you're working with Ciphr. Okay. So any of the values that you put in there, it's going to come through to the payroll and deduct the tax that's due. But of course, it's a reportable value. Court orders are there as well. So let's go and run a payroll. Now, this is where the real magic happens. And this is the bit that really, really gets me excited. So you can see, again, a lovely dashboard. Then we come into the pay run area. I can see my previous pay run. So if I wanted to look back at August, I can still run reports. I can see the data. I can still, download pay slips or do those in bulk. Okay, so all my data for that particular pay run is still there. So let's go back to this area and start a new pay run. So I'm going to start the run. It's defaulted the pay run date for me. Starting the pay run. In that instant, we have got a gross to net calculation for every employee on the payroll, and it is absolutely instant. Our team have load tested this. A payroll with 5,000 employees will calculate in 4 seconds, or just under 4 seconds. So it really is instant. So forget everything you ever knew about running payrolls and having to load data in and hit a button to number crunch and wait for those results. Every entry that we make from this point onwards, it will be an instant real-time net pay calculation. And this is absolutely disrupting the market. This is where payroll should be for the future. Now I'm going to just to show you how that works. I'm going to put it, I mean, obviously we want to be getting data in from, using the APIs, but I'm going to do a manual entry just so that you can see how this part works. So if I go into the hours, I can also bring descriptions across. It doesn't have to say standard hours on the payslip. If we want to say, perhaps it's somebody who's done some overtime, and so we want to say that that was additional hours or overtime, we can actually even import the date that they did that as well. So perhaps we had somebody who did some work on the 15th of January and they did 8 hours extra shift, and we're also pulling in the rate, which is say £15 an hour. Under the advanced area, now if that was a cash value, say something like a car allowance or a first aid allowance, then we can just repeat that every pay run. But we can also import or default cost centres and departments. So say there was an additional project code. We are always looking to make sure that the finance team are getting the analysis they need on any aspect of pay. The cost of a payroll is, of course, it's really, really key part of any organisation is the cost of your people. So it's really important to know where that's going. So as soon as I finish that entry, we can see there's a new gross and there's an updated net pay. So it's just instant. I will not need to recalculate this payroll. It's done. So we can see that also coming through on the payslip data. If I can remember who I just did that on, Amanda Adams. So if we go to Amanda Adams' payslip, I can download that. Let's have a look. So we can see again that is coming out on her payslip. Because it's a really lovely, clear presentation on the payslip. Your logo would appear here. So, yeah, I mean, that's going to help the payroll teams enormously as well, because it should reduce the number of pay queries that are coming through to the payroll team. Okay. So you would be able to continue in that way throughout your pay processing. So all of those changes that are coming into the pay office, then we're going to be pulling those across from your other business systems till we get to the point where we are ready to complete our run. So we can start checking some reporting. So again, we've got a full summary for the entire payroll. So we can see that total cost of pay run. But we can run some reports as well. Now, all of the reports are going to display to screen. You can download those to CSV, Excel and PDF. We love a spreadsheet. And we can also see the other details that we've been entering. So if I go to a pay elements report, then you can see some fantastic breakdown. So you can see there was that entry that I made. So there's the description, and we can see those additional codes that I entered. If we have a look at a slightly different view again, if I go to the variance report, now I'm being able to see the difference in pay between this month and last month. I can also order this, so I can ask for the system to, if I tap on any of these, I can see them in ascending and descending orders. Let's also have a look at the costings report. So again, we've got the same data, but we're chopping it up in a slightly different way, and we're also able to see the direct employers on costs, so the employer's NIC and the employer's pension on these individual elements of pay. And again, we can ask the system to present that in a number of different ways for us. So really, really powerful reporting. Finally, I want to show you the journal export. So the exports for the payroll journal will be formatted for the finance system that your finance team are using their codes. So again, we need to have this really flexible and put in the power at the hands of the payroll manager to be able to update and change these as they need to. We also do have predefined exports for both Sage and Xero. Okay. So we've made our entries, we've finished the payroll, we've done our checking, made any amendments, we've got our final set of reports. So now I can move along to complete my payroll. So that's now ready. It's fully validated as well. We've got validation within the software. So before it goes anywhere near HMRC, we would see any errors or warnings at this point. I can see the full detail, person by person, and I can submit that to HMRC. And it really will, again, take a matter of seconds to send your FPS. And we can see that that's been accepted. We can see the full XML if that is your jam. And again, we can see the detail of the data that was sent. Now, even though your pay run is closed now and your FPS is gone, we do give the facility to reopen a run. So we know there may be those emergency payments that you want to make, and that will allow you to still update people's run, their pay slip, and you can send an additional FPS to catch those kind of last minute changes that needed to go through. Okay. There's a final bit of reporting that I want to show you as well. So if we go into the reports, just to show you also that the historic reporting is so easy for you to get your hands on. So you can see up here I'm reporting for tax year for this data for each of these employees. If I go to something like the pay elements report again, up here I can select a custom date range. I can do this month, last year, this year, or even the last tax year. So let's run a tax year. Now you can see I've got a whole load of data coming through. And this really makes me smile because that is the easiest historic payroll report I think I've ever seen in my entire career. I've had quite a long career in payroll. That absolutely makes me smile. And I really hope that it will make you smile too. So thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to hand back to the team.
Thanks, Amanda. So I just want to touch on what we're working on right now. So what are we going to deliver next in this beautiful product? So we're doing some more work on complex cost center strings. So this is really dealing with high volume of complicated intercompany transfers. There aren't many systems out there that do a great job at this. We want to crack that and just make that an automated, simple task. We've got more plans for more dashboards around automation. That will certainly help the payroll bureau population, ourselves included. And we're also working on public sector payroll. And I have seen in the Q&A a few questions on that. So we will be building multi-post functionality, LGPS, NHS and teachers' pension schemes, and all the returns, etc., that go with that. It's not available in the software just yet. We're just in the process of design, but that is to come. This will end up as a true private and public sector payroll solution with a difference. So there are other products out there that do public and private sector. I've worked on some of those products in my career history. The challenge that you have is if you're private sector, you still have to be built, implemented as if you were a public sector, which again makes the software kind of clunky and slows you down. So when we go in to design the public sector functionality, we're coming at this from a completely different lens. So if you're private sector, you won't have to have any of the public sector functionality. Private sector, you'll be pleased to hear that. And public sector, it will be a smooth, beautiful, intuitive payroll solution. Again, with all the right feature functionality for the public sector, but still providing you with a beautiful end user experience, because that's how we roll. So that's what we're working on next. So do look out for our future webinars, and for those public sector organisations on the webinar today, I can see there are a few. Just keep a lookout. Follow Ciphr on LinkedIn. You'll get your invite when we do the launch, and we're able to show you the public sector payroll functionality. That brings us to the end of the session. We are now moving into Q&A.
Thanks so much, Julie and Amanda, and Amanda especially for that demo of the payroll software. It's so exciting to see it all happening in real time and just with lovely and smooth and just instantaneous calculations. That's so cool to see. Cherie, you're our product expert for the payroll software. Can I invite you, please, to just take a look at the questions in there and pick out the ones that you think are most relevant? Because I know Julie's just touched us on the public sector stuff. My payroll knowledge is not sufficient to determine which of those questions we've already kind of covered. So I would appreciate you just picking out the ones you want to answer, and I'll mark those as answered in the Q&A. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Catherine. Well, that feels a bit pressured. Yeah, so Julie obviously did answer about the pension schemes and so forth sector, so that's great. If I was just looking at Vicky's question on the split rotating work patterns, so in terms of that, we would be looking at, because our HR system does those kind of splits, and you're able to then send that information through to the payroll. And yep, we would be able to, so going back into the sort of work patterns, you can put a work pattern on an employee on an individual basis or as a group. So if you say like they work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they can rotate. So yeah, you can indeed set those kind of patterns. What other questions have we got? Oh, I don't know about iConnect to transfer. I think, is that a specific one, Julie? Do you know about iConnect?
It's for LGPS.
Ah, that's I think Julie's answered that question then.
Yeah.
I assume we probably will be able to do that. Timesheet section and module for hourly paid staff. So what Amanda didn't really talk about is that data can get uploaded and pushed into the system either via the API. So we do work with some TNA systems that are able to send all that data, because they're doing that lovely timesheeting for us already, and they've got some wonderful, I think we work with some wonderful people who've got some amazing things in their systems, and they can push all that through to us, dates, times, as Amanda was talking, because the pay slips, because you've got that description, that ability to put what you like on the pay slips, you can therefore, all that information that's already in your timesheets and your TNA, that all can come through and appear on the pay slips for the employee to be able to see, which really works when you've got lots of questions about what shift or what thing hasn't appeared on their pay slip for this month. So I think multiple roles, I believe from Sarah, I believe that is to do with the LGPS and pension schemes as well, I think. So
yeah, the multi-post, Cherie, that's kind of the next phase of development. That's all under the public sector work, yeah, but we'll be doing true multi-post. functionality, so that you can have different pension schemes on different payment deduction types, dependent on which role the employee works in. Same with sick, holiday schemes, all that good stuff. It'd all be held at post level. So yeah, it's en route.
Okay, and can you select multiple employees and add worked hours for instances where maybe 5 or 6 people worked overtime, or do you need to add overtime individually? Well, as explained with timesheeting, you can either import that, send it through, so you can do multiple employees, or you can do individuals if you've only got one person to update. So yeah, there's a number of different ways that you'll be able to add to the employees and their timesheets. And Lindsay has asked, will Ciphr HR and Ciphr payroll fully integrate in real time without the need for a pay link process? Most definitely.
Yeah.
That's 100%. That is being currently worked on, and we've worked out what we like. So what Amanda was showing you there with the employees, the employee profile screen, all that lovely information when you've got new starters, name, address, bank details, all of that is going to get sent through Ciphr HR and then pushed into the payroll. You'll get notifications that you've got new starters. One, they appear in your pay run. I think when we've got this lovely thing in the pay run where we tag any information that's like that you need to know, new starters, when they've changed NI category, leavers, all of that is there for you to be able to see. You can filter those as well within the pay run. Changes, all of that sort of stuff is there, so that one, you can easily find the people that you need to deal with in this month or this pay run, and ongoing. Okay, I think that might be. Oh, okay. Vicky asked, currently we have the different working patterns in Ciphr HR, but it doesn't pull through to Ciphr payroll to do the pro rata for starters, leavers, and cannot do the absence processing to calculate days pay when off. Is this all now possible? It will be possible, because we will be pulling those through. Indeed, because you're right, if it's in Ciphr HR, it should be coming through to payroll. So that's one of our key things, is that one, we can get that employee data in, and then we want to be looking at that starters, leavers. So we'll have the dates. So the payroll already does starters and leavers pro rata. So when that date comes through from HR, we'll be able to calculate that. So for example, if you're using the 260 method, where that's how you calculate it, you can have that set up in the system. You can, when you put a person, change their rates, change their dates they start, all of that, it will all calculate there. And it will also give you that information in the pay run as well. So it will tell you on the pay run exactly what the calculation is as well, so you can double check. So for example, someone started on the 20th of the month, and it will tell you how many days they've been paid. So hopefully that helps. Oh, there's another one. Hi, Lindsay. Will the new setup offer national living wage system automated checks for salary sacrifice, including automation of alteration where needed to change value for salary sacrifice to ensure minimum wage is not breached? Do you know what? That has come up a few times, and we think it's brilliant. It's amazing, because especially with a lot of companies now looking to salary sacrifice, that is one of the ones, and we've got that option to add that, haven't we, Julie? Because we're building it. So because that's a fabulous thing that should definitely be in the system. We already have national living wage based on hourly rates. So that will tell you if somebody isn't being paid at the hourly rate, and we'll definitely be putting that in for the pension salary sacrifice. I think that's it for the moment.
Yeah, that looks like all of our questions. Thank you, Cherie. I kind of threw you in the deep end there with fielding those Q&A, but you did it admirably. Thank you very much. If you do have further questions, feel free to reach out to us. You can email us at info@ciphr.com. You can also drop us a line there if you want to book a demo of the payroll software, and we'd love to show you around. There's also more information on our website and a brochure that you can check out on there too. So thank you, Amanda, Julie and Cherie, for joining us today. I really appreciate your expertise and the hard work you've put in behind the scenes to get this ready. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We hope you found it informative and helpful. If you could share some feedback during using the exit survey you'll see when this ends, that would really help us make future webinars even better. Thanks again, everyone. Hope you have a great rest of your day and take care. We'll see you again soon. Goodbye. Bye.
Bye.